Remember, 24 times cheaper. Thankfully then, healthcare is free. Pharmacies are notoriously understocked, dangerous seeing as dengue fever hit this summer. What there is no shortage of? Ice cream. Cubans love it. But to get the state ration kind for a dime at the famous La Copelia, people wait 2 to 3 hours around the block in sweltering 90-degree humidity. Yep, but at least education here at the University of Havana is free.
Nosotros tenemos educación gratis, tenemos salud gratis, que en cualquier país del mundo.
Me gusta todo. Y estudiando en la universidad es lo máximo.
Ahora los lujos, ya eso no es problema del país, eso es un problema. Tú tienes lujo, eso es un problema vecinal tuyo.
Pásale, está bien.
It was fascinating. We were in an official setting of sorts, so most weren't critical.
Pero lo amas.
No sé. Bueno, como yo creo que todas personas tienen que amar su tierra. Con Cuba hasta el final. Hasta el final.
I leave the university, go deeper in Havana, and find living conditions get worse. I mean, Havana is literally falling apart. It's on the verge of collapse. For Julian, growing up was tough, so he resorted to hitting the books.
Tengo examen hoy, por la tarde. Un examen a las 6. De esta economía política de la construcción de socialismo.
And this is his UJC card, La Unión de Jóvenes Comunistas.
Sí.
Not all Cuban students have this. This is an organization.
If you are a good student, you are the best or one of the best, you receive this card. Hay que tener carácter para ser un joven comunista. Hay que tener abnegación para ser un joven comunista. Hay que tener vocación para ser un joven comunista. Hay que saber cumplir.
After the interview, we couldn't resist playing dominoes. Julian and his friends say they'll probably look for a job in tourism, not psych, as a waiter, because they'll make tons more in tips. After dominoes, he fed his 2 pigs he keeps in the patio.
And what do you do with them?
I sell and I buy a computer.
So we're in Cotorro, which is like it's a city way on the outskirts of Havana. And I come to visit my family, and I'm bringing them a bunch of gifts back here. Hey, hola.
Moreno brought with him clothes and other household items we take for granted. Around here, top government jobs pay $32 a month. Tops. The average $17 a month can barely cover expenses. So, we went to the store to see for ourselves and bought groceries.
So I'm looking around, and the prices here for a can of tuna are like $4. For coffee creamer, it's $3. What there is a large selection is of liquor, and it's cheap. The man likes to keep you down, so fills you up with liquor, so you don't know how bad it is around. So this is about a little bit less than a month's worth of groceries here in Cuba. I'm saying it. Family of 6, there's a refrigerator. And it's packed because we just packed it. It was empty before that.
That night, his trip to the supermarket enables a reunion dinner. His iPhone takes center stage with pictures of the family and a better life back in Miami. Coming up, you'll hardly hear public criticism of Cuba. It lands you in jail. So far, the 50-year policy of sit back and wait for Castro to fall hasn't worked. The economic embargo flounders, producing little change while the Cuban economy tanks. Many say the only catalyst for a modern revolution, despite Washington's and Miami's efforts, may be Cubans themselves.
And this is it. Named after him. Jorge.
Moreno is saying goodbye to Cuba. He's here at the National Cemetery where his great-grandfather and great-uncle are buried. Themselves former revolutionaries who fought Batista's dictatorship even before Castro did.
The Batista's people found him with a bunch of guns. They shot him like 13 times, and he was dying. Actually, in my great-grandmother's arms, his mother.
Castro honored him with this gravesite and a monument across from the family's old compound. Plus this community park in Miramar, north of Havana. He visited the family's old compound and got a tour from the family living there.
¿Ustedes están aquí cuántos años?
Hace un año.
Hace un año.
Who knows how they got the house? Buying and selling property is illegal. Most people, quote, trade.
Entonces uno entra, se le hicieron la cocina. El niño durmiendo. Aquí adentro, yo creo es donde ellos guardaban las armas. Aquí es donde lo levantaron y la policía de Batista.
Moreno's dream, to one day return following a new revolution, to a free Cuba, and maybe buy back his family's place. Back in Havana, an earshot from the Revolution Plaza, is the skate park, funded by Red Bull. Ground zero, some say, for that modern revolution Moreno and others are hoping for.
Patinar siempre que lo mejor que se puede hacer en este mundo es.
Y le gusta mucho a la población, casi como un juego de béisbol.
I found a more rebellious spirit roaming Havana streets at night. Turns out there's a bigger emo movement here than I ever saw in Miami.
Oh, we just gather here to have some fun, drink, smoke.
Es polémico porque siempre la juventud ha sido rebelde y eso nunca le ha gustado a la gente de más allá.
Una vez que nos cogieron porque por distinto, por diferente. Dijeron que estábamos actuando sospechosamente y nos llevaron para la estación de policía. Claro, un saludo para la gente estadounidense que vengan a visitar Cuba para que conozcan.
If you do visit, you'll hardly hear public criticism of Cuba. It lands you in jail. Like these 90 dissidents rounded up in 2003, 29 of whom were journalists and languish in prison. Another 1,500 or so suffer ongoing harassment on the outside. But these students at the University of Miami are trying to fuel free revolutionary speech. These are Cuban-American members of Raíces de Esperanza, Roots of Hope, a university collective among Harvard, Princeton, UM, and 21 other schools who, in person or virtually, enlighten young Cubans.
I mean, it's basic, like, to have those human rights, the freedom of expression, freedom of religion.
They send cell phones, USB drives with magazine articles, books on starting small businesses, and conduct video chats. Problem is, in Cuba, computers are so expensive, Cubans can't go online.
I mean, you can have the computer, but you can't have the internet. It's like, they can't even dream. Like, there's no hope. Their hopes and their dreams are so different than ours.
Yohanes Sanchez, however, shares their dreams. The underground dissident writes a critical blog, Generación Y, and was named one of Time's 100 most influential people last year. She has to sneak into hotels to email her blog that gets 4 million hits a month, trains others how to post, and is habitually harassed by these government agents. Thus, she couldn't do any interviews. These are some of her blog postings.